Hey Christian, welcome to the Sweet Lab. There's Adenik and Lauren and Taylor's hiding back there. We're going to show you today how to do an install of the new flow meter sensor. All right.
Hey Christian, what's up, man? So we're going to show you the components here, and then we're going to show you the installation process really quickly. So this is the new flow meter. All this is an EnOcean antenna with a reed switch that detects a magnet moving next to it that'll communicate with the Sweet sensor or with your EnOcean dongle. And this is a solar panel that keeps it charged. So we're going to show you a close-up real quick. The idea is that we're taking these dials that have magnets in them, and as they pass by this reed switch, they trigger an LED right here.
Do it again.
It also makes a little bit of a sound.
Go again.
So each time one of these dials spins around, we want it to trigger that reed switch.
So Christian, you see with this magnet, this is a magnet, and when you pass it over this part of it, you can see that little light over there blinking. So what that's doing is transmitting from this guy to a SweetSense unit. The same thing as the Prestix sensor, but it's just transmitting ones and zeros to say that the switch has been clicked.
So we're going to show you the installation process. We think this is going to be pretty standard across these flow meters. So first you're going to need to take this outer ring off. The first time you take it off, it's going to be pretty difficult. You're going to need to use some pliers probably.
So Christian, like these pliers.
Something along those lines. The first time you take this off, there's going to be a nylon ring under here and a glass lens here. And that glass lens might take a little bit of work to pry off, so you'll probably use a flathead screwdriver, get under it, and pop it open. Once you've broken that seal here, it should be pretty easy to take on and off. So what we're going to do is replace one of these dials with one of our new magnet dials. In this case, we're doing the second slowest dial. We just pull the original one off, and we put the new one on and press fit it on. Now you need to make sure that it's on there securely, and you do that just by moving it and making sure that these other dials move because they're all geared together, right? Then you can replace the lens. Check to make sure it's not interfering with the new dial, that they're not touching. Put the nylon ring on top. Now here's going to be sort of the tricky part when you're in the field. This new flow switch sensor, you want this positioned so that when that magnetic dial sweeps past, it will move past the reed switch inside this sensor. So this reed switch is right under this indent on the top of the flow switch. So you should be able to kind of line it up. What I've been finding is that if the magnet goes right by this center space here, that tends to trigger it one time, but we're going to have to practice it, right? You'll use your EnOcean dongle to make sure that it's triggering correctly. Then,
so Christian, every time it triggers, every time you have the magnet, you'll see EnOcean data show up on your computer using that same dongle as before. So every time it happens, in fact, bring it back over here and we'll trigger it real quick. I got a magnet. So Christian, here's the data, and then there's the sensor. Where's my hand? Okay. Go. See, Christian, see how we're not on the phone, so he's not going to respond, but data shows up every time we click it.
all right, so now we're positioning this here. What we've been finding, and I'm sure you're going to get better than we are at installing these in the field, we've been finding that you can sort of mostly tighten this ring down, and then when it's almost tight, you can start moving these things around to be exactly where you want them to be, right? So you want this to be pressed up under the ring and sort of fully under the sweep of that magnet. So as the magnet goes by once, it'll trigger the EnOcean once.
So Christian, you can see the magnet right here, and you can see that it's underneath this little bar.
Then you're going to kind of hold these two in place the best you can, tighten this down, like that. And then you're going to test it. So I'm going to run this pump.
So Christian, when you turn this pump on, you can see the dials moving around, and you can sort of see the magnet dial on the right there, which is moving slower, but it is moving. see it moving there. And what we wait for is then seeing over here if we see new data show up, which means that it's triggering the sensor. See that? Okay, so we just got a new data point, which means that the magnet triggered the sensor.
So once you're happy with where this is placed, you're going to need to fully tighten this ring down. It's going to take a little practice because, you know, we want to make sure that we don't shear this material under here, but we still get this ring tight enough that this flow meter isn't going to leak after you leave the site. So that's the whole process. We're going to also give you a couple of other tools to help with installation.
Okay, so Christian, a couple more things. When you take this off, so as Taylor just mentioned, you really have to make sure it's really tight when you put it back on again, because this is holding water and there's going to be a lot of water pressure at these sites. And so you got to make sure that it's not leaking. The other thing is that when you first get there, there's going to be a little wire, usually, not always, but usually a little wire from here to the ring. You're going to have to cut that and work with Lauren to figure out how somebody can come back and put that on. It's an anti-tamper ring. But I want to show you a couple more things. On these dials, there's a few things you want to look at. So I think you should take a picture of every dial before and after you start working on it. So take a picture before you start working on it and then when you leave. Because what we need to know is what the different increments are. So this is 0.0001 meters cubed, which means 1 liter. This is 0.001, 10 liters, 100 liters, 1,000 liters. And then in meters cubed, this is, so this shows you right now, it's a little bit hard to see that last 2, but it's 112 meters cubed. We're going to record all that data so that later we add up the clicks. And so each one of these clicks is 1,000 liters. So I just add 1 click to 112 meters cubed. And that's how this is going to work. So we need a picture kind of like this, almost exactly like this orientation, when you get there and when you leave. Okay, that's probably enough for now, and we'll talk more when you actually get started on it. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay. Say hi to Chantal. Wave Chantal, wave Lauren. Okay, that was good.